the innovation opportunities that seasteading brings are quite powerful. I mean, I've a very bullish view on the role of technology in developing responses to environmental issues and solving a lot of the world problems. And I think that's where the Seasteading Institute has got some very powerful and interesting ideas.
Thanks. Yeah, I appreciate it. Our kind of perspective is that we're turning, what people think of as a political problem of like convincing people that their ideology is right or whatever into an engineering problem. That if you can solve the ocean engineering challenges of building cities on the ocean, we can experiment with all kinds of new implementations of government and find ones that work better. And that's the key enabling technology to make government work better for people. And that's the sort of transformation of seasteading, is transforming this thorny problem that people think of as being about human nature or morality or philosophy into just an engineering problem. Solve ocean engineering, and then we can start doing trial and error on different legal systems.
What inspired you? I mean, you're the grandson of the famed economist Milton Friedman, but what inspired you to come up with the seasteading idea?
It started with my personal interest in just living in a society that I felt met my needs better. Where I wasn't one of 300 million voters who, and just interacting with the system, going to register my car versus going to Starbucks for a latte, were just completely different experiences. And I think most people have experienced that, but maybe, not really dug into it in research in the way that I felt like doing, to say, well, okay, why do we have this gap, and how can we fix it? And kind of the more I got into the space, the more I saw that it just had enormous potential to unlock human potential, that this space had been under thought about and underexplored, or that the people who had explored it did so in pretty impractical ways, but that really that all the problems are solvable. And so, giant win, solvable problems. That's a fun thing to work on.
All right. So, what are your views on transhumanism? And it seems like I've seen you sort of speak in videos of you speaking at conferences, often associated with the singularity in transhumanism. So, what are your ties there, and what are your interests in these ideas?
Well, I'm friends with a lot of the people in the Singularity and Transhumanist community, people from the Singularity Institute, and I am currently on the board of Humanity Plus, which advances technology to help people be happier, healthier, and smarter. And so I generally feel that technology is not just something external to us, but that there's a lot of interplay between humanity and technology, and that some of the most powerful levers for change have to do with technology and how it's used. And so it's really important to thoughtfully consider the consequences of technological change, and then to move really actively to create those technologies that would be most beneficial or have the best benefit to potential harm trade-off.
What's your favorite transhuman technology?
Oh, do I have a favorite? I mean, I want to be healthier, more longer lived, smarter. I'd like to be able to copy myself and be in many places, working on many things at the same time. I don't know. I like life, and I like doing stuff, and I don't know. I guess I'll take more of everything.
Do are you in favor of massively intelligent AIs?
I think that they're inevitable and highly risky. I tend I've been persuaded by Eliezer Yudkowsky of the Singularity Institute. It's funny, I think there's a kind of a sequence people go through where when someone doesn't know a lot about AI, they think about like first they think it's impossible. And then when they do think about it, they think about the Terminator scenario, like, oh my God, the robots are going to hate us and kill us all, by some kind of analogy with tribal warfare or something. And then you learn more about AI and say, oh, that's silly. First of all, it's totally possible. And then second of all, there's no reason they would hate us. But then there's another place you can get to beyond that, where that Eliezer, this idea Eliezer has put forth, that it doesn't matter whether they hate us or not, but simply in the competition for resources, or out of not, that it's not enough for them not to hate us. They need to love us. Basically, if you have something that's more intelligent, that is more able to act and influence the world and the environment than humans are, that it it's hard to predict its actions, and that many of the things that it does will be very harmful to humans. That our intuition about what a super intelligent being will do is based on incorrectly mapping our knowledge of what different humans would do. And that the space of different moralities and philosophies and actions of all of us humans is tiny, absolutely tiny, compared to the possible space of goals or morality that exists. And that an AI is going to be drawn from this wider space. And so it might have the goal of just making more yellow in the world, or of just turning every piece of matter and energy into greater computational power for itself, or any of a huge variety of other things. And most of those are really bad for humans. And so it's incredibly important to try to figure out how to build a super intelligence that will actually love us and care about our needs.
Sure. Hugo de Garis he came up with an interesting phrase. He said merge or purge. And I think he believes that the only way that we'll survive is by merging with the machines themselves, in the long run, instead of remaining distinct individuals. Well, I hope that also maintains our individuality at the same time. What are your thoughts?
I mean, I think that I think that there's a potential place for humanity to have a niche unchanged, but that if there's more powerful beings in the universe, especially more powerful, intelligent beings who are constantly growing their own capacities, that humans who choose not to merge will become decreasingly important in the world. Just like a country that today, a country that like North Korea, that chooses economic poverty, or a sector of the population, at least in the past, that chooses not to reproduce, just it gets selected out by the universe. That's the merciless logic of evolution.
So you think we'll have to sort of move or evolve in such a way that we can bring utility to the universe, I guess, in a sense, or other utility to other agents in the universe, and that'll be us and the AIs, unless we find aliens.
Yeah, I mean, if other beings are becoming more powerful, then either we become more powerful or we become irrelevant. I mean, it's like 1 + 1 = 2.
Okay, so have you been to many of the conferences before, the Singularity Summits in America and the Humanity
Yeah,
Summits?
I've been to a few Singularity Summits and a few Humanity Plus Summits.
Yeah, yeah. So this is going to be the first transhumanist conference in Asia, as far as I understand, which sounds pretty significant. There's a lot of people over there, and they do live under a different ideology.
Yeah.
And it'd be interesting to see what sort of future Asia has, and China especially, to the up and coming powerful technologies that we've just described.
Well, surely a huge future. I mean, I'm not deeply familiar with it, but as I understand it, there's the openness to, say, uses of stem cells, life extension technology is much higher in Asia than it is in the U.S. So I think it's incredibly important.
It's interesting. I've heard, and I agree to an extent, that Asia does tend to fund things that are sort of left of field in some degrees, and so may be responsible for funding and developing technologies that more of the entrenched sort of methods of development in the US um, do. Yeah, so they may come to a solution with advanced direct layer and nanotechnology quicker than
Right.
the US. Yeah.
Well, I think that's already happening. I mean, that's a fact.
Hmm. All right. So anyway, well, it's been great speaking to you. You've exhausted my questions, and you've had some great answers to the questions too. But is there anything that you think you'd like to sort of point out, or any comments that you'd like people to sort of be aware of?
No, I think we've covered the important ground. Yeah, I hope people can see how seasteading fits really naturally into the transhumanist sort of philosophy of technology as a high impact way of solving the world's problems in in a way that I think most people haven't thought of yet, but which is really natural when you think about it. So I hope people get excited with greater hope for the future of politics.
Yeah, thanks very much. Well, I really appreciate it, and I'm looking forward to catching up with you in Asia or in Hong Kong. So that'd be
Awesome.
great. Yeah, cool. Well, have a great day,
Thanks.
and yeah, I'll look forward to seeing you in December.
Okay, great. See you then, Adam.
Yeah, cheers.
Cheers.